Stevie, let me interrupt you. I've been keeping tabs on the Nottingham Forest Twitter account. They have just this second posted, Nottingham Forest can confirm that after a series of disappointing results and performances, Ange Postecoglou has been relieved of his duties as head coach with immediate effect. The club will make no further comment at this time. So the Chelsea fans were wrong. He hasn't been sacked in the morning. He's been sacked in the afternoon. Your reaction, Stevie?
I mean, I'm not surprised. It's not a surprise. Listen, it was a matter of time. When we started this, and I'm talking about, he'll probably not get his sack yet. We kind of all figured it was a matter of time. So it's not really a surprise. You know, it's just unfortunate that the Forest fans can't send a letter in and say that Marinakis has been relieved of his duties. Unfortunately, that's never going to happen. But that's really where the problem lies, which is what we were talking about just before you told us about Ange leaving. So yeah, this is absolutely on Marinakis. You know, as I said, you play one way, you do fantastic. You bring in Europe, the crowd loves it. People couldn't wait to get to the ground in Nottingham Forest to get behind the team and enjoy the atmosphere and sing that Paul McCartney song. I mean, people they couldn't wait to get there. Now they're like, what? Why? There's the enjoyment. Marinakis has sucked the enjoyment out of a Nottingham Forest home game. That's what he's done with his decision making.
Okay, Sam. Bookmakers are never slow to put up next manager odds, and it hasn't happened in the couple of minutes since we've explained and told you that Forest have sacked Postecoglou. They have been running markets because it's pretty much been a fait accompli. So here you go. Tell me out of this lot, these are the favourites right now, who you think will be the next Forest manager. The favourite is Sean Dyche at 4-5. Marco Silva at 4-1. Jose Mourinho at 12-1. Obviously, he's back in management now in Portugal. Danny Roll at 14-1 after recently ruling himself out of the Rangers job, the former Sheffield Wednesday manager. Kieran McKenna at Ipswich, 14-1. Oliver Glasner at Palace, 14-1. And here's an interesting one. How about a job swap? Brendan Rodgers at Celtic with Ange maybe going back there, 14-1. Let's have some fun with this. Who are you going for?
I was furiously writing those names down. So the favourite is Sean Dyche, and he's been talked about in the last couple of weeks. While that may be a relatively uninspiring choice by Forest's recent lofty standards, I think the key part here is you need to go and find a manager who can play with the players that you've assembled. So kind of be a Nuno impersonator, an imposter, if you will. Unfortunately, you're not going to get that man back. The bridge is burnt. He's at West Ham. It's done. But you're going to need to go ahead and avoid the mistake you just made by applying a manager like Ange to a squad like the one Nuno built, and go and try and marry the two together again. So from that perspective, Dyche does make some sense. The one that actually caught my ear there was Marco Silva, and Fulham fans won't appreciate me saying any of this at all. But as far as I'm aware, his contract comes up end of the season. If I was Marco Silva by this point, I would be a little bit frustrated with, at times, the kind of lack of ambition that Fulham show, especially in the transfer market. They went 8 weeks of this window without signing any players at all. They keep losing their best players. Unfortunately, it's the nature of the business for a club like Fulham. But Silva's a very, very good manager. And he is a very good aggressive manager playing against the ball. Like, yes, he'd like to get it down and play, but I've always been impressed by how difficult Fulham are to play against, how physical they are, how they press, how he gets players like Andreas Pereira to really put a shift in. That feels like the kind of thing that these Forest players are used to. So that's the one that caught my ear, apart from Jose, obviously, but we know he's back at Benfica.
39 days is the shortest Premier League reign. For the next manager, it might be a case of rent, don't buy. It's still an attractive job at a big football club, but Sean Dyche wasn't the favourite after Nuno left because that wasn't the type of football that they were looking for. Is this season, Stevie, now about survival and staying up for Nottingham Forest, given last season was about potentially qualifying for the Champions League because they've made such a mess of it?
100%, absolutely. Right now, if you're at Forest right now, the only thing you can or should be thinking about is the very least we have to do is stay in the Premier League. Forget your European campaign or anything else. Right now, the way they're playing, the way the results have gone, they have to think about how do we stay in the league, and that's why Sean Dyche should be and probably will be the next manager, because he will organise them again, and they'll be back to somewhat the way they were under Nuno, and the players will like that because they'll recognise all the things that they used to do under him, and certainly not under Ange. In terms of Silva, though, or any other manager of his ilk, why do you want to go to Forest with an owner like Marinakis? You know, Marcus Silva's not in a position where he needs a job, where he needs to prove anything. He needs to go again to maybe a step up to try and get back up the top of the ladder. He doesn't need to go and put his reputation on the line for a guy like Marinakis, who in 10 games' time again could turn around and sack him. So, you know, people like Marcus Silva don't need the problem of Marinakis. Certainly, a Premier League side is tasty for a lot of managers, but not for somebody in the position that Silva is. So, yeah, I agree that he's a great manager, but I don't think he wants or needs to go anywhere near this owner. And that's why, again, Sean Dyche, no question, will want to get back in it, and he certainly wants to get back in the Premier League. And this kind of fits him, and it fits Forest as well.
Prior to the announcement that Nottingham Forest have sacked Ange Postecoglou, I was going to ask you the question, Sam, about where you think Marinakis went after leaving his seat in the director's box in 66 minutes and not returning. I think the answer is pretty clear now, clearly to his office, and maybe a call to his lawyers.
It seems so, yeah, with the paperwork ready to hand out at full time, probably stood in the tunnel. Look, Marinakis is, he's a decisive guy, and that works both ways. Unfortunately, it encapsulates both sides of the sword. He was very decisive in deciding that he wanted Ange Postecoglou to take this team forward. He's been very decisive in recognising that that was a completely terrible decision and they need to go and do something else. The fact that seat was absent in the 66th minute when the camera panned to it, I don't actually know when he left. I mean, he may never have made it out for the second half. Who knows?
66th minute was when he left. They had footage of him leaving.
Oh, they had it. Okay.
The stairs. So
that's pretty ominous.
Yeah.
And it's effectively heading into this this call, like, you know, for us to talk about this game, I was ready to say, if you'd asked me, do you think he's going to go tonight? I would have said yes. Because that scene there, that was it. He's had enough. And when Marinakis has had enough, he tells us and he shows us. And he's done both in the last half an hour.
It's kind of ironic, Stevie, that one of the best managers, probably the best manager in Nottingham Forest's history, ended up eventually going from Leeds United and lasted 44 days. It's still 5 days longer than Ange Postecoglou left at Nottingham Forest. A day that started with Nottingham Forest against Chelsea 25 minutes ago or so. It finished with Chelsea winning by 3-0 at the City Ground. And then midway through our chat, the news comes through. We broke it live that Ange Postecoglou has been sacked as manager of Nottingham Forest. Who is next? That's the big question. The way that Marinakis thinks, he may as well appoint himself. Bye for now.